Hey everybody, it's Bryan here. Welcome to another episode of Tales from a Professional Nerd, episode 9, I believe. Welcome to my little video vloggy, checking in with everyone else sort of thing. So last week I mentioned that I was probably going to take this week as a hobby week. To get all my gear and stuff set up over at the paint table again and show you a new trick and some new stuff. But unfortunately, it did not work out. I needed to do a little more practice with the rig system, and figure out what I can do to make that work properly. But I do have another really cool topic that you probably, by guessing at the episode title, if you clicked on it or looked at it or even paid attention to it, today's episode is titled The Charity Thing. So a couple of episodes ago, I mentioned that I had started to put together and I got the okay to do a industry, come watch us play audience participation industry thing at Gen Con for basically to play D&D in front of an audience and generate some money for some cool charities along the way. That the ball in that has been moving rapidly forward, and I've got some really cool news and some stuff that I want to mention going forward, and that's what today's about, is to talk about the event, to discuss how it's going to work. This video is probably going to be one of the more watched videos because we're going to use this as kind of a jumping point for us to explain to the people who are coming out to this event what it means to be part of this audience participation charity thing. But before we get into that, I don't want to take I'm not going to take forever like I normally do. Just real quick, couple of updates. What I've been doing, what I've been up to, aside from working like a crazy person trying to get things done. Still working on a bunch of Shadowrun stuff, working on some Fallout Wasteland Warfare stuff, as I mentioned last week, so none of that has really changed as far as it hasn't stopped. The work with them hasn't stopped immediately or come grinding to a halt or anything. We announced officially, the Catalyst Game Labs announced my my novella in their series of novellas called the Frame Job, where my segment of that novella series is based out of the point of view of a troll street samurai named Rude. I'll put the link in the description just so you guys can see what John had to say about it. John's their kind of fiction master over at Catalyst. I'm really excited for you guys to see this. It's not only am I working alongside some really cool authors in this kind of novel chain, and we did a real good job of making sure that where our novels kind of cross paths with each other, the dialogue stays the same, that you can almost kind of Pulp Fiction-esque when you're reading and go, oh, that's where this is taking place. I know where this is because in this other book that I read, I caught the other half of this conversation. Now I know why she's distracted. Oh, now I know why he didn't answer the phone. That kind of thing. So I'm really excited. I think you guys are going to dig that. Also, speaking of Shadowrun and Catalyst, I got to this last weekend. I got to play this is actually a booklet for the expansions. The Shadowrun Sprawl Ops board game. They kickstarted it last year. It's a very pretty, very, very pretty board game. that basically you are a bunch of competing Shadowrun teams trying to make the most money and solve the big mission on the table. But it was a really fun game. We didn't get a chance to actually finish it because I had to drive home that night and I couldn't stay there forever. But we got a good solid feel as to what the gameplay is like, how the game plays. It's hard, but it's not too hard. It's a little bit of an uphill battle at first, but I think we were starting to get there to the point where, we were, all right, let's do this. We started figuring out ways to kind of screw with one another by worker placement or runner placement. I see when it goes out to retail, because I don't think it's retail available just yet. But if you get a chance to pick up a copy, I think you should. It's a lot of fun, and a bunch of the Shadowrunners that are in the game, that are in the board game, are Shadowrunners that I had created for a different board game that Catalyst has yet to produce, or has yet to publish. So that should be that was fun for me, to when these cards would flip up and go, cool, I know this character, or telling the people I'm playing with, well, this guy's a vampire because he's a member of this, and I know this because I made the character. That was fun. It was a good time. But just at a straight gameplay. Just the grid gameplay itself, it's a fun game, and you guys should really take a look at it. It actually was created by one of the other novella writers too, Dylan Bertolo. I hope I'm saying that right, Dylan. The guy who actually wrote the initial, the first chapter in the first novella in the novella series is the guy who designed Sprawl Ops. So. A lot of love there. Just a lot of love. Throwing off some Shadowrun love. Let's see, what else? What else real quick before I get into the Gen Con charity event spiel. So one of the things that I was talking about, I teased I showed like a little clip of him a little bit as an Easter egg at the end of one of the other episodes. I showed a work in progress. Well, this week I actually started selling on eBay. I fully raised all the molds are ready. The resin is pouring, and I started painting. He's not fully painted yet. I'll got to finish putting up. This is one of the things I was going to work on today during hobby rig time, but unfortunately, like I said, the rig isn't working out for me yet. I gotta figure out how to better do it. Is a giant. Yeah, look how big this guy is. So a regular mini is like in this game. It's like yay big. There's a giant earth elemental that I sculpted. He is in 5 parts. He's each arm, each leg, and then his torso is all one chunk. He went together really well. I had to do some sanding and some filing because he's resin, and some gap filling with some putty, as you do. But he's painting up really well. I plan on doing some fancy stuff with him, and then update the eBay pictures with the new pictures once they're done. But I'm excited for him. I'm also excited to put him on the table. I designed him specifically to kind of fall in line with the Avalanche Elemental for Dark Age. If all goes well and I get the other guys painted before, probably before Gen Con, maybe one of the days of Gen Con, I'm going to see if I can't get a game of Dark Age in with like my envisionment of the finished Earthcast. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I'm going to put a link to the eBay auction or the eBay store in the description as well. So if anybody wants one of these big bad boys, come and get them. Hot off the foam rubber press. I don't know. All right, so now let's get into what what's kind of on the very short horizon. I'm going to finish him up. I'm going to start sculpting his little brothers, the lesser Earth Elementals, which should be a lot of fun. I still got to do some painting commissions. But this weekend, actually the next 2 weekends, no, really mostly this weekend, is a madhouse of... I have been missing my game time. Other than playing video games, I have been missing just getting some good solid role-playing interaction with my people. And this weekend I get like a triple dose of it. So tonight, because this video comes out on Friday, so tonight I get to go and play in a Shadowrun 5th World game, a 5th edition game, run by my buddy Nick, where I have been itching to play a goofy Shadowrun character for a long time, and I'm like, you know what? He said that this was going to be a one-shot, which if you're not versed in role-playing game lingo, a one-shot is basically, it's rarely actually one shot, but a one-shot is a short, not a campaign that is existing to, or that's being designed to run a really long time. Run 2-3 sessions, play through the story, be like, yay, we did it, and then you put the book aside. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I am playing a Shadowrunner by the name of Zoo. His name is Zoo because he is a Sasquatch. That's right, I'm playing Bigfoot. And in Shadowrun, Sasquatches don't talk. They can do sign language, but they can't actually make words. Instead, they mimic animal sounds almost perfectly. So I really, I'm sure it'll probably annoy the hell out of my fellow players, but I think I'm going to try and find an animal sound emulator on my phone, and occasionally make animal sounds. There's a part of me that wants to go down to like Goodwill and get one of those, the cow says, and see what happens. But I'm pretty sure I don't want my friends to hate me. I really want to enjoy playing this character. But it's going to be a crazy time. It's going to be... Basically, I get to play like an eco-terrorist version of Chewbacca. Where very few people will understand what I'm saying unless they manage to take, a couple of levels in the, icky and bad sign language. Or if I can figure out how to converse well enough with animal sounds. I don't know. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be crazy. I'm going to love it. So that's tonight. Tomorrow is my buddy's D&D game. He has had a world ongoing... my buddy Albert has had a world ongoing called Minheriath for... decades, at least 10 years, probably longer. But this particular game's only been running for a handful of sessions. We're only like 3rd level. But I get to portray Salenthal, or brother Salenthal Sobersbane, my drunk monkey fighting monk halfling. Yeah, I basically I'm a kind of a cross between Tyrion from Game of Thrones and Brad Pitt's character from Snatch. I'm a bare knuckles barroom brawler that really kind of wants to serve the god of adventure and always find the bottom of the bottle or the glass that I'm drinking. We've played a couple of times. I'm excited. We haven't played this game in a little while, and it's a lot of fun. I am sad. One of our characters is one of our players is active military, and he deployed. So Travis will not be there, sadly enough. I wish that he could be, for a variety of reasons. But more than anything, he will be missed at the table. And I don't know if Trav, if where you're at, you get YouTube, and if you get a chance to see this, but my love goes out to you, buddy. And then on Sunday is a little fun thing I've never got to do before. One of my best friends, and actually the godfather to my son, David. My son's Connor. David is the godfather. Is a recurring host, guest member, person of a podcast called Dungeons with Dudes. It is a not safe for work podcast, so keep that in mind. I'm gonna put the link in the description. But these guys, they're awesome. They're a bunch of locals that play games, play D&D, and do so on the air. Like, it's just basically you gotta get to hang out and watch them play these games. And I have been invited to join them in a game of Fiasco. Now, Fiasco is a game system that I have never played before, so I'm pumped, really, because it's the first time for me. It's extremely storyteller, like story driven. There are some dice involved, from what I understand. I haven't had a chance to actually look at the rules. I'm sure they'll hold my hand through it. But from what I understand, it's a lot of describe what you're doing, pass the description on to the next person, and then they kind of build from there. And eventually you come up with whether or not you pass, fail, and by how much it is, and how stellar of a how big of a situation changer it is. And then it's a short little one shot for the podcast. And I'm super excited because, again, I haven't been on their podcast before, but it gives me an opportunity to play a new game, play with my buddy David because I miss him to death, and help out fellow gamers, because that's what this is all about. That's why I do this vlog thing. So I'll put their Facebook and podcast information in the description below, so you guys can kind of keep an eye out for the Dungeons with Dudes podcast with guest Bryan C.P. Steele from Tales from a Professional Nerd. I doubt it'll be that long of a byline, but so yeah, that is pretty much my weekend, and then come Monday, back to the grind again. But I'm excited. It'll be a good. It's been a hard couple of days and hard couple of weeks, and this weekend I am so going to enjoy just throwing a little reality away for a little bit and enjoying some make believe as an adult, like Mr. Rogers said. All right, so. Now that we are done with all that stuff, past things, future things, let's talk about future things. Let's discuss why you came here, other than to see my happy face. You came to see me drink iced coffee from a official Squishy cup. Hang on. Purchased with Squishy in Springfield, the Simpsons thing down at Universal Studios, which was amazing. I had one of the giant Belly Buster donuts. The huge, like the was it Lard Lads giant pink donuts. If I can find the picture, I will. I'll put it up. But first off, that trip was amazing to Universal Studios. Just getting to see all this stuff. I was a child. I was a 40-year-old child. But then we saw the donut shop from Springfield, and I'm like, I have to have a legit Simpsons donut. Fat guy needs donut badly. And I did, and I had it, And not only did I have one when I went to Universal Studios, but my wonderful dear friends, Nate and Terry, they went to Universal Studios, and on their way back up, driving back up to Windsor, they stopped here in Lafayette, and they brought me another one months later. I have had 2 of them. If there is anyone that has the ability to get me Lard Lads donuts and like get them shipped to me, put it in the comments, because hot damn, I'm not sure, but I think I understand why Homer is the way he is. They put something in those donuts. They're amazing. Amazing. Where was I at? Oh, we're talking about Gen Con. Talking about the whole reason to do this silly episode. All right, so I've talked a lot in past weeks about the charity event that I'm doing at Gen Con. And I have got. I'm going to give you a little background on it before anything else. My friend Richard Ankney over from Game Trade Media, he does like a weekly thing like this, where he and another friend of mine named Dave, and sometimes various guests, will get together and they will paint minis and maybe they'll make role-playing game characters or whatever stuff that I want to play. I want to do on my channel. They do it weekly for GTM, and one of the things that they were talking about is they were talking about making 5th edition characters one day, and Richard had said that he was like, I love running games at conventions and I want to run some more games for my friends. And while I was watching this video, I chimed in and was like, oh my god, I want to play with you. I want to play one of these games. You just say so. And then we kind of both lamented the fact that, when we do these shows, sometimes time and the ability to put these things together is not all there, unless you make it an official thing. You make it an official event. And so I said at that spot, and I remember typing it because I was sitting there watching the video, sitting in my kid's school's parking lot, waiting for him to get out of school, watching this video, typing on my phone. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna ask and see if I can run like a cool charity event. You want in? And Richard's like, oh my god, that would be fantastic. Let's do it. Oh, that's awesome. And if you know Richard, I'm gonna put a link to GTM in the description too. If you know Richard, he is just a bard of a human being. He's, first off, a big guy, just tall and very, very large and in charge. But he is always there with a smile, for just the friendliest person. Like, you can imagine if this was medieval times, he would be the guy who had the pony keg on the side of his donkey and would invite you to his camp for a quick ale and a story and a laugh. He's just an amazing guy. He's a super, super good guy. With a lot of really good ideas, and I knew that I wanted to work with him. I wanted him involved in this, and so I started putting this stuff together. And as it started to really gel and take shape, I was like, oh my god, I'm really going to do this. We got the official word that Gen Con was going to give us a seminar room to run our charity event. And so now it was, okay, hey Richard, you are my first player, because without his idea planting in my head, I would have never run this. And then it was, all right, I got to fill out the rest of these seats and then figure out just how this whole thing is going to work in an entertaining fashion. And so in a world now, in an industry world, in a Gen Con world, where people will pay good money to go and see other people, whether it's on Twitch or if it's at a show, at a convention, where they make priority 1 to get their tickets to go see these guys play D&D live. In a world like that, I figured there's got to be a way to do this and make it not just about my ego, not just about, hey, I want to be a star, you know. And so we figured out how to make it for charity. And the ticket price, all the ticket price proceeds goes to the Gen Con charities of Game to Grow and the Indiana Special Olympics. So that's cool. But then there was that part of me that was like, you know, I want it to be more than just the audience sitting there watching us play a game and occasionally laughing with our jokes and when silly things happen to us. And so I was like, I want to make this into an audience participation game. And I've said this a couple of different times. I even said it on the description for the Gen Con event. And I know that it's come up a few different times where people have been like, wait, so I'm paying to not play, but I get to be involved? How does that work? Well, little viewers, I'm going to tell you. So this is a variation of another charity game that was played actually using a miniatures game at a show that has passed called Adepticon, where the players could buy rerolls. Basically, if they're playing their game and, you know, it's a tense moment and their dice come up bad, they go, frass 'em. Here, take my money, and reroll the die. And then basically, that money that they take is what gets added to, you know, the charity funds. And I was like, all right, well, that's cool. I want to take it a step further. I don't want the players to have to worry about it. They can. If they want to buy rerolls and stuff, whatever. That's on them. But I want the audience to be the ones that are kind of controlling our fate, like an old choose your own adventure book, where as we're playing, as I'm going to be running, I'm going to be the DM, and then my players are going to be, you know, running through the scenario that I've cooked up. There's going to be times where maybe something important is bound to happen, or, you know, one of the players needs to roll like a 4 to unlock a door and rolls a 3. You know, it's just like, oh God. An audience member will be able to help out. And the way this works is when we set up the table, when we set up the game area, there will be jars in front of each player, boop, 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 with a little nameplate stuck on the front, and then one in front of the dungeon master, which will be me. And these jars are how the audience get involved. Everybody who buys a ticket, who comes to the event, gets 1 marble for free. They get their one. Haha. There will be a gentleman or gentlewoman or gentle person sitting there, my coffer's keeper, who will have a box full of marbles and a cash box, of which you will be able to buy more marbles for $1 a piece if you would like. Over the course of the game, at any time that the players or the DM roll a die, you can, if you wish, as an audience member, hop up out of your seat and, you know, jog forward, walk forward, be safe, whatever, don't hurt each other, and drop a marble in whoever just rolled that die in their jar. Gling, 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 gling. When that happens, whatever die was just rolled gets re-rolled before the effects apply. Now, one might say, well, that's going to mean that the heroes are just going to walk through everybody. Anytime a die is rolled, you can make it be re-rolled. So let's say we get an audience member out there who really is just, you know, he's cheering for the bad guys. He wants to see the heroes have to deal with some hardship. Maybe some easy things that otherwise people can just go, all right, well, I need a 4. Bring, there's a 97 or whatever. Audience member goes, nah, try it again. Cling. Now, can only ever re-roll a die once, because otherwise we might not make it through the whole scenario if people just goes back and forth, roll, die gently on the table. Okay. The way it works, though, is that let's say that I, as the DM, I'm about ready to shoot a crossbow at Richard's character. Here's a hint. Here's a hint. I'm about ready to shoot a crossbow at Richard's character's giant animal companion and try to shoot it right in the backside. And in the audience, there is someone who is a hamster lover. Deep in their heart, they love hamsters of all types, even giant space versions. And so they go, "No, you can't." And I roll a crit, and I'm like, take. And I get ready to start rolling damage, and this hamster lover runs up and goes, "Nope, nope, nope, ding!" Reroll that crit. All right. Before I reroll that crit, let's say that, maybe one of the people that came with Hamster Lover is feeling a little adversarial and wants to see what happens when a giant space hamster takes an arrow in the butt. He says, "Nope, I'm spending a marble to cancel her marble." And Hamster Lover's like, "No, I have another marble. I bought like 10. That's how the charity event is supposed to work. How the audience participation is supposed to feed into the game itself is by having these marbles, by paying the coffersman and getting these chips of fate, so to speak. You can help steer how the game is unfolding at a game mechanics level. Now, that is only one way that these marbles work. That's the main way. That's what you're probably going to see more often than not, is people just buying rerolls and canceling rerolls and trying to if you've got a friend that's one of the people up there, or maybe you want to see Ross fail at something because he never does. So you buy a bunch of marbles and you're like, I am going to make sure that he rerolls everything all the time. It's going to be an uphill battle for him. If that's what you want to do, I'm sure others will probably rise to the occasion and make it harder for you as well. But that's kind of what the marbles are for. The other thing in proper choose your own adventure idea and ideology, in the scenario that I've got outlined, there are several instances during the story where the audience will get to determine kind of which road is the way that this story is progressing. Whether it is, I'm not going to give away the story, obviously, but let's say that in one of these events, the party is trotting down the road. I'm going to be as literal as I can be. They're trotting down the road toward where the castle where they believe the bad guy is. They get lost in the woods, and they eventually get to a fork in the road where down one fork is, the sign says, the Looney Tunes version of certain doom. And then the other side is lined with daisies and daffodils. And there's a glow at the end where it curves around the corner. Possibly, it's the most inviting thing that you've ever seen. I might pause the game and then look to the audience and basically say, okay, we're going to start the bidding at 2 marbles that these paths are exactly as they seem. And the audience will then get to basically bid to change that. Whether, it'll always be an either or ultimatum. It will be the paths are exactly as they've been described. So the one that says certain doom is going to be certain doom, and the one that's, rainbows and sugar fairies is probably going to be an amazing scene with rainbows and sugar fairies. Or if the audience decides and the bidding goes back and forth that, we're going to keep it to maybe a minute to decide, Going once, going twice, whoever has the highest bid gets to determine, is that the case, or is it the opposite, or the other option? And in most of these instances, it's going to be a drastically different scene that unfolds. And so this gives the audience an opportunity to not only steer the scenario the way they would like to see it go, like, let's say that in this game, we'll go to the certain Doom and Sunshine and Rainbows. They have really been, kind of meh about the amount of combat, and they're like, all right, well, these guys have been kind of walking through. Everybody's been buying rerolls and there've been lots of crits, and they've been kind of walking through the bad guys. So I'd kind of like to see them deal with certain Doom and maybe a real challenge at the end of that path. Or conversely, maybe they've had a rough time and the fights have been brutal and everybody's limping and Ross's horse is missing an eye. Let's send them to Sugar Plum Fairyland, because that'll be kind of a fun exchange to see these characters walking into a happy scene, but also give them a chance to lick their wounds before we get on to the next big the next big hurrah. So that's really kind of how the Choose Your Own Adventure spiel, the audience participation works. Is you buy these marbles, just for sake of ease, we're going to probably have the marbles be $1 a piece. That's the easiest way. I was toying with $2.50. I was toying with, and I'm like, no, let's just cash transactions only and $1 a pop, because that way the coffersman can just, here's $3, here's $3. Like, you can just get your marbles, and then as an audience member, you hold on to your marbles until you want to use them. And hell, if you really want to, maybe at the end of the event, you hang on to one of them as a souvenir. I got nothing. I don't know. I'm hoping to also have maybe some other things up for kind of charity auction for the coffersmen to have kind of at their table, to help generate more funds. I want to try and basically I want to make this as successful for the Gen Con charities as I can. That's the whole purpose of doing this. Not only just to have fun and to do one of these kind of fun type events, but it also, we want to do some good. We want our time and our effort and our energies to do some good for these people. So that's why we're doing this, and that's why this is set up the way it is. Hopefully the audience will get into it, and we'll sell a bunch of tickets, and we'll sell a bunch of marbles, and we'll get some cool character and audience interaction, where people will enjoy being involved and getting involved and getting to steer how the story goes. And then who knows, maybe on this channel or on my Facebook or another something, we'll discuss what some of those options could have been. Or maybe I will run another one of these down the road. I'm planning on doing hopefully another one for GaryCon, since a bunch of the industry celebs that I wanted to have for this event were otherwise busy for that time slot. I want to do this again for them, for those that missed out. This particular event, which I'll write it down in the description as well, but let me make sure that I got the code. If you're buying tickets, it is event number ENT 191-61875. If you just want to do a search, you basically search under charity D&D, and it pops right up. So that won't be an issue to get your ticket. There's still a whole bunch of seats available. I think we're about 20% full at this point. I know we've got like 2 months before Gen Con, and we're going to be announcing the players, and then and then I'm going to be talking about the characters they're playing, possibly on more videos, definitely through the event page for that event, which I will put the event page, the Facebook link in the description as well. So please come swing on by, even if you just say interested, just to kind of be able to watch what we've got put together. The cast that we are assembling is going to be a lot of fun. They are all game industry professionals from various walks of the gaming industry. I'm very fortunate that we've been able to assemble them. I can, with all certainty, I've got one person that is like a 90% sure that she's going to be able to make it. So I'm not going to say her name just yet. I won't announce her, but everybody else is verified. We've got Richard Ankney from Game Trade, which again, like I said, that was going to be. He was going to be like my first. I had to make sure that he was in there. We have myself, which I think the closest thing I don't want to put on there and be like I've worked for people, but I'm the professional nerd. This is what I do. I'm just an industry guy. I freelance all over the place. Have been everywhere twice, and plan to be everywhere again. We have Ross Thompson, the indelible Ross. If you know Ross, which you probably do because he knows everybody, Ross works for USAopoly, the board game company, and he is easily one of the most just charming and charismatic human beings that has ever walked this planet. And I really look forward to getting him at the table, and that's going to be super fun. We have, just as of this morning, we finalized Sarah Moore from the Chaldea, which is Peter Adkinson's role-playing and movie world. Sarah is like his second in command almost when it comes to most of their events. She is an actress. She is a burlesque dancer, and just a general all-around awesome lady. And I look forward to getting her feel on the character that she will be portraying. We have Alex Abrait, the CEO over at Level Up Dice. I've got some friends that work over at Level Up. I've got some of their dice. It's amazing, high-end, cool stuff. Role-playing accessories at their finest. And Alex is just a great guy. So I'm sure he is going to be a ton of fun at the table. And here in a second, I'm going to talk about kind of the general overview of what we're planning. The setting for the scenario apparently is something that he's super into, and I did not know that when I was putting this together. We'll talk about that here in a second, but so I'm excited to see someone who's just as jazzed as I am about delving into this world. And then our last, but most assuredly not least, definite player, someone who is gonna be at the table because they haven't, we've got them in, is Rudy Rutenberg from Maze Arcana, and honestly from actual Hollywood film and video, and media. He's done voiceover work. He's an actual on-screen actor. You've seen him through Maze Arcana. You've seen him through things on the DMs Guild. I'm excited. I'm humbled, and I'm just a tiny bit intimidated to have him at the table. But I am super confident that this is going to gel, and that he is going to pardon the potentially not safe for work, he is going to kick some ass as the character that I have set aside for him. And then we have one other guest that is not 100% locked in yet, so I don't want to announce her presence, just because if for some reason things don't happen, her schedule doesn't allow for it, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up, so we're not gonna mention her, and we're just gonna move on. So even just those first 5, this is gonna be just a killer scenario. Now, it's only 3 hours long, which means in reality, after kind of the quick description about the marbles and the ending, hey, how do you do, it'll probably only be legitimately about 2.5 hours worth of like actual gameplay. But I think that we'll be able to get a lot done because these guys are all pros. We all have, we have the ideas in mind, and I'm outlining the scenario to be very specific and to be a little, it's a convention style scenario. It's going to be a little hand-holdy. It's going to be a little railroad, hey, players come here. Because nobody wants to go to one of these things and then watch them eat breakfast for 2 hours about, well, we could do this. Do you want to save the princess today? Nah, let's do it tomorrow. The princess is fine. Either way, it's going to be a blast. It's going to be super fun, and I hope that this not only does a lot of good for the charity, that you guys get tickets for the event and come out and buy some marbles, but I hope that it also it sets a precedent that at future events, or if I ever eventually decide to do some kind of online Twitchy thing or something, that we'll be able to spread our wings and fly and do more of this type of stuff. Now, one of the very first things that I have mentioned on this, and I showed off the book before, is that I am a weird lover of Spelljammer. Spelljammer is... I could do an entire episode on Spelljammer, and probably may have to at some point. Spelljammer is a D&D, an Advanced Dungeons & Dragons setting that kind of came out at the height of weird, when people were just rowdy about the crazy stuff, and someone came up with this great idea of D&D in space, and not crunchy sci-fi like laser guns and things. No. This is literally swords and sorcerers. Buckles are being swashed everywhere in space. Yeah, they've got pistols like black powder. Yeah, there might be some cannons. And yeah, their ships look really cool, and a lot of them look like bugs or fish. But overall, it's all magic. Physics is right out the window. Ignore inertia. Who knows? It's Spelljammer. My ship goes. Yeah, like that's not. We do magic. You can stand on the deck of your ship. The solar wind flowing through your hair as you stare out into the cosmos and breathe the magical bubble of prime material plane that your ship takes with it. It's an amazing, crazy world, and I love it. I love the weird stuff that comes out of it. I love the interactions that you can have. I love the potential depth that you can have from taking characters from one setting and dropping them in another, because in Spelljammer, all those other settings are different spheres of connected space out in the universe, and I dig it. So when I started planning, I realized I really kind of wanted to do a Spelljammer game, but I also wasn't going to just subject everyone to, here's this super wacky that no one else understands but me. So what I did is I put up a Twitter poll and I put up a Facebook poll that said, all right, of the things you would like to see run, would you like Dragonlance? Would you like Greyhawk? Would you like Magic Heavy Forgotten Realms? Or would you like something strange like, or would you like horror like Ravenloft? Or would you like something strange and kind of goofy like Spelljammer? The Twitter poll was unanimous. No one voted for anything but Spelljammer. They were like, "Nope, that's what I want. No one has seen this in decades. Let's do it." My Facebook post, the Facebook poll was a little more evened out, a little more spread out because there are also more people involved. Dragonlance came in at a close second, at like 30% of the votes, but 62% still said Spelljammer. So 100% on the Twitter and 62% from Facebook, Spelljammer it is. Not to mention it gives me an opportunity to start finally getting off my butt and start moving the wheels towards what I want to do. And I really, really, really want to do an official, whether it's for the DMs Guild or I want to do an official Spelljammer 5e update. I've already started to write down rules for it and make the adjustments. This is something that I want to do. And if I had liquid money where I could not have to work on every other project to get by and give myself like a couple of months to pen this thing, I would. And it really is a passion project, and I want to do it, and I'm gonna do it at some point. I just gotta figure out how to make the bills happen until then, and get the permission to use the art that I need to use, and all that stuff. But all of that aside, the end result was, let's do a Spelljammer game for the Gen Con charity event. And so when I told the people, when I told Rich, as my first verified player, that it's going to be a Spelljammer scenario, I sort of hit send and winced, like, okay, let's see how this goes. He was ecstatic, and out came the space puns. I'm over the moon. This is out of this world. And I knew in an instant, this is gonna fit. It's gonna hit the right notes. And as the other celebs started kind of gelling, the other industry folk, and when Alex was like, I love Spelljammer, I should get my hair done in a Spelljammer way. And if you know Alex, his hair is crazy and changes all the time, so I expect him to probably do some kind of weird Spelljammer haircut. It warms my heart that they're diving in so deeply on this, and if all goes well, and this does just resonate like I think it's going to, it should be the right kind of steam and the right kind of motivation for me to start actually putting digital pen to digital paper and start making this book, because Spelljammer hasn't been around. It's been kind of the forgotten orphan of AD&D, even more so than like Dark Sun. And when Starfinder came out, when Paizo came out with Starfinder, I was like, oh man, this is going to scratch that Spelljammer itch. It's going to be perfect. It didn't scratch that itch for me for some reason. It's almost a little too crunchy sci-fi. It doesn't have for me. It doesn't have as much of the unique, It tries to be crunchy sci-fi, but uses still the same straight rules as just basically Pathfinder in space. Whereas Spelljammer was legitimately unique in the way that it blended things together and had its own stuff and had its own backdrop story. And I'm sure Starfinder's amazing. Like, I'm not trying to downplay that. It's just, it didn't scratch the itch like I wanted it to, and it's still, that just kind of sat there rolling around in the back of my head. Spelljammer, jam some spells, buckle some smashes. And I want to. I really want to. Time, there's not 36 hours in a day, and I've got to be able to pay my bills, so I haven't had a chance to really do it. But I'm hoping that this will be the jump start that I need to go, okay, Bryan, make it freaking happen. Do it. And that's what I want to do out of this. Not only make the charity game, not only have an absolute blast and record the video. That's another thing. I'm planning on recording the charity event. I can't live stream it because of some technical issues with Gen Con. But I do plan on videoing it and cleaning it up and editing it. One of my very, very close friends is a professional. Let's try that again. One of my very close friends is one of my best friends is a professional photographer, and he is going to be basically videoing the event. So he's going to be on point when it comes to videoing the action up there at the table, all the fun, all the greatness. When the audience members, if we get a couple of good audience members, start back and forthing about marbles and whatnot, I'm sure he'll probably pan to them. Regardless, plan on seeing the video on my channel at some point, and possibly some other channels. I know Richard has the GTM channel that he'll probably put it out on. I can't speak for anybody else. I don't know how far it'll spread. But what I can say is that we are going to record it, and you guys will get a chance to see it. For those of you who aren't going to be at Gen Con, if you're going to be at Gen Con, Saturday night from 5 to 8, you really should try and get a ticket for the event and come out, buy some marbles, and be a part of it. I'm super excited. It's going to be fantastic. And if all goes well and everything hits like it's supposed to hit, and we have the stellar time that I really think that we will, I think that in the next year you'll probably see something from me that's an official 5e Spelljammer DMs Guild thing. Maybe more if I can get the guys at WotC to loosen the reins and contract me for it. I don't know. Maybe you're listening. If you're listening. Either way, however that may be, I want to do it. I've got the plans. I've got the notes. I've got the characters started to be built, and I really, really am super excited about this. And like I said, over the next month and a half, 2 months, month and a half, watch my space, watch my channel, and that's not just a plug to say, like and subscribe, but it, check my Facebook page, Facebook page, and click on interested on the event. Even if you're not planning on being there, you'll get a chance to see some cool stuff. I'm going to put out some more short videos on the event, probably discussing individual characters. We're definitely going to be announcing the cast and who they are playing. But it's it really looks like it's going to be a good time, and I hope to see a lot of you there. I have specifically not made any plans for after the event, so when the table's done and everybody's going their separate ways, hopefully maybe we'll go to a bar, get some drinks, go get some food, stand around and talk for a little bit, discuss things. I plan on making myself available, and this is going to be a lot of fun, and I hope that you'll join us, and I hope that you'll be a part of it. And I think that there is a lot that can be done here. A lot of good for the charities, a lot of fun and interesting Gen Con memories to be made. But in the meantime, just have a good time. Check my eBay stuff out if you want to buy some cool models. Watch this space for more things. We'll see you next week. You know how it is. Just like me this weekend. Let's play some make-believe, and more than anything, let's play some games.